Adesso capirete perché tutta Londra impazzisce per questo nuovo motivo.
Dove si finirà con questi balli così frenetici?
Oh, bravo David, non ti avevo mai visto come questa sera. Sai che impressione ho? Di perdere il tutore, ma di ritrovare il fratello.
Forse non è un'impressione sbagliata, Georgiana. Lei legge benissimo a prima vista.
Per la musica non dico di no, ma per il resto.
Per il resto?
Può capitare che qualche volta mi sbagli.
È vero, signorina Elizabeth, che il reggimento è partito da merito? Deve essere stato un grande lutto per la vostra famiglia.
Signorina Bingley!
Carol, la prego. Già in passato ho avuto modo di constatare l'inopportunità di alcune sue frasi. Mai come questa volta, però. Sta superando se stessa.
Suonaci qualche cosa tu, mia cara, ma mi raccomando, un po' più riposante.
Oh, certo, io non sarei capace di suonare una musica così indiavolata.
Sa da quanto tempo non ci vediamo?
L'ultima volta fu a casa mia, ricordo bene.
Già, ma io ricordo anche la data. Era esattamente il 26 agosto dello scorso anno. Una serata indimenticabile. E mi creda, Jenny, anche se è passato molto tempo, io ricordo parola per parola tutto quello che ci siamo detti. Anzi, Jenny, io so di dovere delle spiegazioni. Lei deve comprendere il mio lungo silenzio. Io le scrissi subito appena arrivata a Londra, ma purtroppo non ebbi mai la fortuna di ricevere una sola riga di risposta.
Ma come, Charles? Sapesse quante volte le ho scritto?
Sì, lo so, ma io non ho mai ricevuto nulla, purtroppo. Soltanto pochi giorni fa ho scoperto che mia sorella...
Che sua sorella?
Io non so come spiegarlo. Jenny, so che niente potrà mai perdonare Carol, ma...
No, non dica nulla. Non sciupiamo il piacere di essere di nuovo qui insieme. Quello che hanno potuto fare gli altri contro di noi non ha importanza. L'importante è che lei sia di nuovo qui. Si ricorda cosa mi disse l'ultima sera?
Che non ci saremmo mai dimenticati. E non ci siamo dimenticati, Jenny.
Poco fa lei alludeva a un errore di giudizio.
Sì, infatti. E volevo in qualche modo ripararvi, confessandolo.
Purtroppo le apparenze erano contro di me. E poi sono mutato molto anch'io. A differenza di una pagina di musica, un uomo può correggersi e cambiare.
Sì, ma ci deve essere la giustificazione di un sentimento
Appunto, un sentimento molto acceso.
Davvero. Credevo si fosse spento. Un certo giorno a Rosing. Chiedo scusa, ma... Mary, cos'è accaduto?
Miss Eliza Bennet, are not the Loamshire militia removed from Meryton? They must be a great loss to your family.
They are removed, Miss Bingley, and we manage very well without them.
I'm astonished to hear you say that. I always understood Mr. George Wickham was a great favourite of yours.
Georgina.
How could you be so cruel as to mention Wickham's name just as I was trying to forget him?
She could not have spoken intentionally. She knows nothing of what took place last summer.
Then why should she mention him?
Miss Bingley's conversation is the product of an empty mind. Pay no attention to it. Come, you must attend to your guests.
I am told that Mr. Wickham left many substantial debts in Hertfordshire. Debts of honour which the colonel of his regiment had to discharge.
Plainly, you have more news from Hertfordshire than I have.
My informant also spoke of numerous intrigues among the families of the local tradesmen.
Brother, pray make her stop.
My dear, you will recall that we are expected at Lambton at 1 o'clock.
Miss Darcy, you have received us with the greatest kindness and consideration, and we are indebted to you for your hospitality, but we must not detain you longer.
It has been a pleasure to make your acquaintance, sir. Madam, Miss Bennet.
Ma, shall we then expect you to dinner tomorrow?
Miss Bennet. Provincial nobodies. Self-sufficiency without consequence, impertinence without wit.
Do, brother, to protect your reputation more closely, Miss Darcy. I'm astonished at his allowing such people to cross the threshold of Pemberley. I cannot understand it.
Next, we shall find Miss Eliza Bennet running round the park like a gypsy.
Just as she did at Netherfield. I shall never forget it.
I thought she was charming.
Mr. Darcy, never in my life have I seen anybody so much altered as is Miss Eliza Bennet. She's grown so brown and coarse.
She is a little tanned, but apart from that, I see no alteration in her.
I must confess, for my own part, I never could see any beauty in her. Her face is too thin.
Her complexion has no brilliancy.
Her nose wants character.
Her teeth are tolerable.
But not out of the common way. As for her eyes, which have sometimes been called so fine, I never could perceive anything extraordinary in them. I particularly recollect your saying one night after they had been dining at Netherfield, she a beauty. I would as soon call her mother a wit. But then she seemed to improve upon you. And at one time, I believe, you thought her rather pretty.
Yes. But that was only when I first knew her. For it is many months since I have considered her as one of the handsomest women of my acquaintance.
Whenever I am in the country, I never wish to leave it. And when I am in town, it's pretty much the same.
This part of the country is a very long way.
Say what you will about its delights. Thank you. In a country neighbourhood, the society is confined and unvarying.
Well, for the most part, I prefer shooting to fishing. Can't understand a man who likes fishing.
The hills hereabouts might almost be mistaken for mountains, and I find mountains to be very dull. They lack refinement. Do you not think so, Miss Darcy?
I am sorry, I did not hear you.
Do you not think so, Mrs. Gardiner?
Oh, yes. Yes, indeed. Nature was much at fault when she provided mountains.
I can't abide a mountain.
I'm most eager to take up your kind invitation to fish here tomorrow, Mr. Darcy.
My dear Charles, should you ever build your own house, let it be in the style of Pemberley, but nearer home.
And how is your family, Miss Eliza? All your family?
They are well enough, I think.
You think you do not know?
In family life, we sometimes know only what we are told, and not the truth of the matter. They tell me they are well enough.
It is above 8 months since we all met. Not since the 26th of November. We all danced together at Netherfield.
Pray, Miss Eliza, are not the militia now removed from Meryton? They must be a great loss to your family.
They are gone to Brighton, but we manage without them.
Your little sisters have not followed them?
There is a wild grandeur of scenery hereabouts, Miss Darcy. You must find it very different from the south.
The scenery is different, but the friends remain the same. How very ill Eliza Bennet looks. I never in my life saw anyone so much altered as she is since the winter. She's grown so brown and coarse. Louisa and I were agreeing we would not have known her. But then I confess I never did see any beauty in her. Her face is too thin, her complexion has no brilliancy, her features are, well, they're not at all handsome. Your coffee's over there. Her nose lacks character. There's nothing marked in its lines. Her teeth are tolerable, but not out of the common way.
Of whom can you be speaking?
Eliza Bennet. And as for her eyes, which have sometimes been called so fine, they have a sharp, shrewish look, which I confess I do not like at all. Her dress was out of fashion, it was much worn, and it was creased. I remember when we first knew her in Hertfordshire, how amazed we all were to hear that she was reputed a beauty. And I particularly recollect your saying one evening, she a beauty, I would as soon call her mother a wit.
Yes, but that was only when I first knew her. And for many months now I've considered her as one of the handsomest women of my acquaintance.
Absolutely marvelous.
Will you not play again? You played that song so beautifully. Not very beautifully, not faithfully at all. You must have seen how I fudged and slurred my way through the difficult passages. It is a beautiful instrument, though. My brother gave it to me this week. He is so good. I don't deserve it. I'm sure you do. Your brother thinks you do. But as you know, he is never wrong.
Indeed, I can't say, but all the same, I'm sure.
Now, it is your turn. Oh, I absolutely insist. In front of all these people.
It is indeed.
I will play, but please don't make me sing. If you like. Pray, Miss Eliza, are the militia still quartered at Meryton? No, they are encamped at Brighton for the summer. That must be a great loss for your family. We are enduring it as best we can, Miss Bingley. I should have thought one gentleman's absence might have caused particular pangs. I can't imagine who you mean. I understood that certain ladies found the society of Mr. Wickham curiously agreeable. I'm so sorry. I'm neglecting you. home with no one to turn the pages. There, allow me. Eliza Bennet looked this evening. I've never in my life seen anyone so much altered as she is since the winter.
Quite so, my dear.
She's grown so brown and coarse. Louisa and I were agreeing that we should hardly know her. What do you say, Mr. Darcy?
I noticed no great difference. He was, I suppose, a little tan. Hardly surprising when one travels in the sun.
For my part, I must confess I never saw any beauty in her face. Her features not at all handsome. Her complexion has no brilliancy. Oh, her teeth are tolerable, I suppose, but nothing out of the common way. And as for her eyes, which I have sometimes heard called fine, I could never perceive anything extraordinary in them. And in her air altogether, there's a self-sufficiency without fashion which I find intolerable.
I think...
I remember when we first knew her in Hertfordshire. How amazed we all were to find her reputed beauty. I particularly recall you, Mr. Darcy, one night after they'd been dining at Netherfield, saying, she a beauty? I should as soon call her mother a wit. But afterwards she seemed to improve on you. I even believe you thought her rather pretty at one time.
Yes, I did. But that was only when I first knew her. For it has been many months now since I have considered her one of the handsomest women of my acquaintance.